Are you sick and tired of biological men in women's sports? How about entire seasons dedicated to the rainbow? Or mass state-sponsored abortion, also known as sacrifice to Moloch? Or the general de-Christianization of society around you? Well, Russia's calling, and they want you. In a bizarre turn of events, Russia has just announced a groundbreaking visa program that allows foreigners disillusioned with contemporary Western values to relocate to Russia and start fresh. Recently, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree aimed at simplifying the relocation process for foreign citizens who oppose woke ideology. Essentially, if you're tired of all of these progressive governments telling you how to live in the United States or Canada or the United Kingdom or Germany or any of the Western allies, Russia wants you. In a press release by Russian news agency TASS on August 19th, Moscow will provide assistance to any foreigners who want to escape the neoliberal ideals being put forward in their countries and move to Russia, where traditional values reign supreme, according to a decree signed by President Vladimir Putin. Under the document, such foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia outside, quote, the quota approved by the Russian government and without providing documents confirming their knowledge of the Russian language, Russian history, and basic laws. Applications may be based on the rejection of their country's policies, quote, aimed at imposing destructive neoliberal ideals on people which run counter to traditional Russian spiritual and moral values, end quote. Values are listed in the foundations of Russia's state policy in this field, while the Russian government is expected to compile a list of countries imposing unhealthy attitudes on their citizens. The Foreign Ministry has been instructed to start issuing 3-month visas to such applicants as early as in September. That is crazy. If this sounds too crazy to be true, well, it's not. Some American families are already taking advantage of this temporary visa program offered by Russia.
I want to thank the Russian government and the Russian people for allowing me to come to your country. We intend to use this opportunity to benefit our family. I feel like I've been put on an arc of safety for my family, and it's very important. Thank you so much.
I just want to say that I feel very honored. In a small way, it feels like I just got married to Russia, and I look forward to building a future here with my family.
Recently, a video has been making its rounds on Telegram of an American family receiving temporary asylum documents in Moscow due to what the family described as the cancellation of traditional moral and family values in American society. If you live on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, it might come as a shock to hear that Russia is offering asylum for people in Canada and the United States and Europe. But in reality, especially in the last couple years, Vladimir Putin has been very vocal in criticizing the West for its embrace of progressivism, identity politics, and gender studies. In fact, he's even gone as far as characterizing us, the West, as the new communists. And the war in Ukraine has largely been presented by Moscow to the Russian population as a moral war and a moral duty.
Разве мы хотим, чтобы у нас здесь, в нашей стране, в России, вместо мамы и папы был родитель номер 1, номер 2, номер 3? Совсем спятили уже. Разве мы хотим, чтобы в наших школах с начальных классов детям навязывали извращения, которые ведут к деградации и вымиранию? Чтобы им вдалбливали, что кроме женщины и мужчины якобы существуют еще некие гендеры, и предлагали сделать операцию по смене пола. Разве мы все этого хотим для своей страны, для своих детей? Для нас все это неприемлемо. У нас другое, свое будущее. Повторю, диктатура западных элит направлена против всех обществ, в том числе и народов самих западных стран. Это вызов всем. Такое полное отрицание человека, неспровержение веры и традиционных ценностей, подавление свободы приобретает черты религии наоборот, откровенного сатанизма. В Нагорной проповеди Иисус Христос, обличая лжепророков, говорит: «По плодам их узнаете их». И эти ядовитые плоды уже очевидны людям. Не только в нашей стране, во всех странах, в том числе для многих людей и
Putin has essentially framed Ukraine as the tip of the spear for progressive ideologies that he claims are responsible for the decay of Western civilization. Cultural hegemonies through reverse racism and a severe decline in birth rates due to the dissolution of the nuclear family and heteronormativism. Now, I'm not saying that I necessarily share those same beliefs, but it's definitely something to think about. Now, whether you agree or disagree with Vladimir Putin and his position, you can't necessarily argue that his claims are baseless. In fact, a blaring example of why Putin is so critical of the West is because of policies like these in Germany in the 70s, where a controversial and classified experiment placed foster children in the hands and care of registered pedophiles.
For 3 decades, homeless kids in West Berlin were intentionally placed with paedophiles. An investigation by the Hildesheim University uncovered a twisted and disturbing experiment in which orphans were housed with paedophile men up until 2003. It discovered a network across educational institutions which accepted, supported, defended paedophilia. The program was based on the works of psychology professor Helmut Kendler, who argued that sexual contact between adults and children was harmless. Kendler said paedophile men would make particularly loving guardians. Berlin authorities turned a blind eye to the placements and approved them in some cases. The foster fathers even received a care allowance, and several of them were high-profile German academics. The university was alerted about the program when some of the victims came forward with their horrific stories.
The Kendler Project is just one example of why Putin and the majority Russian Orthodox population of Russia views the West as declining morally. And Russians don't just view this as a decline to be observed, but one to stand against. As crazy as this may sound to you and I, Russia actually sees itself as the last bastion for true freedom and morality in the world, where according to Putin, the West has really lost its way. Russia's leadership has been vocal in openly inviting and embracing the Russian Orthodox Church to promote a vision of Russian identity that is conservative, therefore anti-Western, and rooted in Christian values. Most media outlets in the West report on Russia and Vladimir Putin as a dictatorial autocracy, hell-bent on rebuilding the Soviet Union, no matter how many lives or people get in the way. But in reality, that's a gross oversimplification of what Russia is actually doing and what Russians themselves believe is happening. Now, I'm by no means some sort of Vladimir Putin apologist, but to view Russia's actions as of late purely as political power plays, whether it be the war in Ukraine or BRICS, totally misses the deeper cultural and ideological motivations. With nations like Sweden, the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, Canada, and the United States facing large swaths of immigration from the third world, creating foment and difficulties with the local populations. We see Russia opening its doors to the West and those who are fleeing woke neoliberal ideology. Russia is attempting to position itself as a safe haven for those who are fleeing, as it calls, Western moral societal decay. Now, this messaging isn't something you're going to hear on CNN or CBC or MSNBC, but it's certainly interesting to consider. Now, as a Christian myself, I never thought I'd be faced with this dilemma that a communist dictatorship like Russia is more sympathetic of my beliefs than my own country. That's troubling. And I'm not saying by any means that I just believe Putin or I'm taking him at his word, but it is a sign that we are truly living in strange times. Things aren't as black and white as they used to be, and it's hard to tell who the good guys and the bad guys are. I know that's a gross oversimplification, but it's bizarre. Thanks for watching today. If you got value out of this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I have merch available on my website if you'd like to support me directly. And don't forget, the truth will set you free in these strange times. By the way, did you know that Democrats are paying social media influencers for organic endorsements?